We've been talking for a long time about the Netflix binge model. And I've been saying for a little over a year now, maybe even a bit longer, I've been saying within the next couple of years, you will see Netflix move to a week-to-week release schedule. And everybody said I was wrong, and that's fine. But it just makes sense. The reason I would be saying things like that is because the week-to-week schedule just works better. You look at all the other networks that do it on a week-to-week schedule, you see, like, especially when you have a good show. We take WandaVision, for example. It started off, first episode, not big numbers, but word started to spread. And then the second episode came out, and then the third, and the numbers just kept escalating until at one point it was the number one show in the world for a while. Because it went up and up and up because people started to spread organically word about the show. People weren't too far behind. They could go back and get caught up on the 3 episodes, whatever, and be caught up with everybody. And instead of, I always go back to this one, Punisher Season 2 on Netflix. I love Punisher Season 2. But that show came out, dropped on Netflix. People talked about it for 48 hours, and then nobody spoke of it again. Nobody talked about it again. It was literally in the pop cultural consciousness for 48 hours, and then it was gone, even though it was really good. Whereas Mandalorian, we talk about it for months. WandaVision, we talk about it for months. Obi-Wan, for good or bad, we talk about it for months. But I mean, awesome. That's the thing. Now, every once in a while, you'll get something like a Squid Game. But Netflix has so many great shows that they put out that a lot of them we forget just disappear off the radar, and we just don't talk about them anymore, even though there's a ton of good ones. So we've seen Netflix starting to experiment with this. They got some reality shows that they do go with the week-to-week release. Then they started splitting some seasons in 2. They did that with Lucifer when they acquired Lucifer. They obviously did that with Ozark. They just did that with great success of Stranger Things Season 4. Mm-hmm. They're going to be doing it with Your Beloved Manifest. So what they did, with Stranger Things Season 4, they put out the first half of it and everybody talked about it. But because X number of weeks later, another half was coming out, the conversation continued. Speculation about what's going to be in the next part, blah, blah. And it stayed in the conversation. Anyway, we say all of that because a new report is coming out of the very reliable Puck that Netflix is now looking at moving away from the binge model and moving into the more advantageous idea of doing a week-to-week thing. And this comes to us from those folks. It says this, and I'm reading this off of Screen Rant, who's quoting them. It now appears that Netflix could be on the verge of making a big change. In the newest edition of the Puck newsletter, it is suggesting that Netflix wants to move away from the binge model releases in some form. Netflix currently uses weekly episode drops for some reality competition shows, but there might soon be a time, and it should be soon, there might soon be a time when it becomes used for Netflix's biggest originals as a means of keeping viewers engaged over longer periods of time. So this is, again, coming to us from, originally from Puck. I'm quoting it from Screen Rant right now. Rob, I've been waxing poetic on this for a long time, that this is just the right move for Netflix. You get your audience engaged for much longer periods of time. But more importantly, and I think this goes back again to the whole WandaVision thing or Mandalorian thing, once a show is dropped and binged, I know some people, even though it feels like everybody in the world watched Squid Game, I know a number of people in my life who never watched Squid Game because when they finally heard all the buzz about it, everybody had already seen all of it and they had missed the train. They had missed the train, or they already know everything because all the episodes happened once, or they could never be on the same spot that their friends are. Because even if they both start watching the same time, Ellie might be on episode 8 by now. And meanwhile, Roger's on episode 2 and all that kind of stuff. So people have avoided getting on board with some shows because that show's old news, came out 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I know we want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, Storyblocks. Guys, I have been an enthusiastic fan and user of Storyblocks for years. I go to them whenever I'm in need of content creation assets like royalty-free music, video clips, or templates for my creative projects, ranging anywhere from little editorial videos to my very own full-feature documentary. Storyblocks helps you bring your stories, videos, and projects to life without sacrifices due to time, budget, or access to resources. They have over 1 million different story assets ranging from stock videos, audio and music, an in-browser video editor, and they feature pre-designed designed templates, animations, and outros. Storyblocks uses an affordable subscription model, and their unlimited access plans offers, well, unlimited video and audio downloads rather than a costly pay-per-clip model. With Storyblocks, you'll be able to create more content and, more importantly, better content, all while using a subscription plan that fits your budget, utilizing unlimited downloads of demand-driven and diverse content. So if you're interested in upping your content creation game, head over to www.storyblocks.com/Campea and get started today. That's www.storyblocks.com/Campea. So Rob, you're hearing about this. Would this be the right move for Netflix? And now that we're hearing this, do you think this could actually become a reality with them?
Well, you and I have talked about this on this show for years.
Long time.
And I think that one of the things that people forget is with these binge models, you sign up for I want to see my favorite show, like Sandman. You binge it, and then you're done. And then you let go of your subscription until something else comes along. Well, if you have a show that you get sucked in by, like a Sandman that's 10 episodes long, 11 episodes, that's almost 2 months, of time. And 2 months of time where you're staying a subscriber to a channel, hopefully in that 2 months you'll find something else that you want to binge or a new show. I mean, I think that model is more stable in a way for streamers. I mean, I'm talking out of my behind right here, but I would imagine,
right.
Yeah, but I would imagine that if you, even if there's only 1 or 2 shows that you want to watch every couple months from a streamer, you're going to keep your subscription there because they're going to keep you around for however long it takes you, the 10 weeks or whatever. And then you get your new show that's also 10 weeks and so on and so on, and it'll keep you into that streaming service. And for me, John, like you said, I've binged things on Netflix. I've binged things on Netflix that I watched all the episodes of like 2 or 3 years ago, and I'll see it and I'll be like, I did watch that, and I will have no memory of it. Like none. I can recite lines of dialogue from movies I saw 40 years ago, but streaming shows, if I binged them, I can't remember anything. And I don't know if that's a memory thing or if it's just
that's also a lot of LSD, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, but no, I mean it is the kind of thing where I look, long story short, I think it's the right move.
Amy, you're hearing about this. Listen, I myself am a binger. Like I do like sitting down and like finding a show that I haven't seen and ripping through all them stuff. So what do you think about this? What's the best approach for Netflix here?
Well, first of all, I think that's such a good point, because even thinking back on Stranger Things, and I loved this last season, looking back on it, when people talk about the finale, I'm like, yeah, what happened? Because I had to tear through so much of it so fast because there was this weird pressure of, if I don't watch this pretty immediately, I'm going to get spoiled, and I could totally see if you weren't loving that show being like, I don't have 4, 5, 6 hours to commit in a night or a week to catch up with this. So I think the week to week is absolutely the move. I was even thinking recently with Stranger Things, it was such a pop cultural moment, it felt like, when the season dropped, and it kind of fizzled a little quicker than I thought it. Now, I'm sure we're going to see just a disproportionate number of Eddie Munsons this Halloween. But that said, it's like, I feel like that pop cultural moment lasted as long as the week-to-week release time would have been. And then they probably still could have ridden another 2 months of everyone being hyped about it. Not to mention the fact, if you are a binger, if that really is your preferred method to watch something, it's not like the shows come down after a week.
Yeah, you can wait.
Right.
Exactly. That's absolutely. And I feel like there are definitely shows on Netflix when they switch to this model. There are shows I'd probably go, I'm not going to clear my Thursday night every week for this. But, in a couple weeks when I remember that there's 6 episodes out, sure, I'll check it out. And then things like Stranger Things, you do get that everybody's talking about this the next morning, water cooler energy that some of those bigger shows like a Stranger Things, like a Squid Game, like an Ozark deserve.
I mean, and can you imagine if like this season of Stranger Things had been week to week? I mean, it would have dominated the entire pop cultural conversation 7 days a week for the length of the show. And there's something as a fan, like I said, I am a binger. I enjoy binging a lot, but there is something I love for us collectively as a fan base. That, let's take House of the Dragon, for example. We all see House of the Dragon episode 1 at the same time.
Yeah.
And then we all get to talk and ruminate and speculate and whatever, build up. And then comes Sunday night. And I kind of love that now for the next couple of months, Sunday night is the night that we set aside to gather around. We're all sit down. We're all going to watch Game of Thrones together. And I know all of my fan brethren and sisters out there, we're all sitting down together around the world watching this. There's just something great about that you can't do with the binging model.
And I think as fans, we miss that. I know I miss that sometimes. Just pop culture media in general has gotten so wide and so deep, and there's so much of it. It doesn't feel like we get those water cooler shows anymore. It doesn't feel like we get those pop cultural moments in the same way. And I think people do crave that Monday morning, everybody's going, did you see it last night?
Right.
Yep. It's the thing. Anyway, guys.
I'll say one more thing just because no one brought it up. And it's the Star Wars effect from the 70s. It's merchandising. When you run these shows for a week, people are talking about it for a week, 2 weeks. 3 weeks after Netflix, after Stranger Things, you couldn't go to like a Hot Topic or anything or grab a Stranger Things shirt. You couldn't find any of the pops, anything. All that merchandising was gone because the excitement was gone, and stores started selling other, IP.
The new hot thing that's
new
out.
hot thing. If they could have expanded that to 8-10 weeks, you'd be selling merchandising throughout all of that, and then a couple weeks beyond that. So it's a lot of money with
And listen,
merchandising.
I think their experiment has the idea of baby steps. Let's experiment with splitting the season in two. I think that was the absolute right thing for them to do, that you go in baby steps. But I think they're seeing the results of that have been amazing. And I think we're going to, again, I don't think they're about to change this in the next 6 weeks or even this year, but I think it's coming and it's going to come soon. Anyway, guys, questions for you. What do you think about this? It sounds like Netflix is now actually seriously looking at moving things over to a weekly schedule. Maybe they won't do it for all their content. Maybe they will. Who knows? What do you guys think about that? Jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there.